Deborah called the cops on me because my grandfather clock chimed at noon one ordinary Tuesday. I stood frozen on my front porch watching her wave her arms like a conductor gone mad. The bright afternoon sun beat down on our quiet Maple Grove Estates subdivision in Ohio. I had moved here a year ago after losing my grandma and inheriting her treasured antique clock. That tall wooden grandfather clock stood proudly in my living room with its soft Westminster chimes. Every hour it played those gentle melodies that filled my home with warm, comforting memories. Neighbors used to smile and compliment how charming the sound made our street feel at first. Then Deborah seized the HOA president role and her tiny kingdom of rules began its reign. She marched up my driveway one afternoon clutching a clipboard with her signature fake smile. "Your clock chimes violate our strict noise ordinance, neighbor, and I am writing you up." I stayed perfectly calm and explained the chimes were barely audible beyond my own yard. She shoved the official violation notice into my hand and spun on her heel without another word. The complaints started arriving weekly after that like clockwork in my mailbox. She emailed the entire HOA board claiming my innocent chimes disrupted the whole community's peace. I double-checked the decibel levels myself late one night with an app on my phone. They registered well under the legal limit, yet she kept pushing harder every single day. Tension thickened in the neighborhood air like invisible smoke you could almost taste on your tongue. At the summer block party, I overheard her spreading rumors in hushed, venomous tones. She told everyone I was deliberately annoying the subdivision just to test their patience. My chest tightened with that familiar burn of injustice, but I forced a polite smile anyway. People began avoiding eye contact when I walked my dog along the tree-lined sidewalks. Her power trip escalated fast when she called the police for the very first time. The officer arrived on a sunny afternoon looking bored as he listened to her dramatic rant. She claimed my clock was assaulting her ears hourly and demanded immediate action right now. He pulled out his sound meter and shrugged after taking precise readings from my porch. "Ma'am, this is perfectly legal and nowhere near a violation," he told her in a flat tone. Deborah's perfectly made-up face flushed beet red as she stormed off muttering threats under her breath. That single warning only fueled her obsession instead of ending the ridiculous feud. She started showing up unannounced at my door during odd hours with fresh violation papers. I began recording every single conversation on my phone just to protect myself legally. Her voice always dripped with sickly sweet politeness while her words cut like hidden blades. "You think you are so clever with your little clock, but the HOA has final say here." I replied evenly every time, "Deborah, I am simply living my life within every posted rule." The constant stress started eating at my sleep and making my hands shake at work. I could smell her overpowering floral perfume lingering in my entryway long after she left. One quiet evening, I reviewed my backyard security camera footage from the previous night. There stood Deborah clearly trespassing on my private property and fiddling with the clock door. She even left a handwritten note on my porch that read, "This nuisance ends one way or another." My heart pounded with a mix of rage and sudden clarity as I saved every frame. I compiled every email, every recording, and that damning video into one organized evidence folder. Before presenting it all, I decided on one final creative move to drive my point home hard. My buddy managed sound at the local university stadium and owed me a huge favor. He helped me borrow their massive PA system complete with industrial amplifiers and towering speakers. Over one intense weekend, I carefully connected the clock's original chime gears straight into the setup. It was technical but satisfying work watching the mechanism now trigger full stadium-level volume. I positioned the heavy black speakers on my back porch aimed directly toward her house across the street. The next noon chime hit like thunder rolling across the entire subdivision without warning. Those once gentle melodies exploded outward, shaking windows and rattling doors for blocks around. Neighbors spilled out onto their lawns, covering their ears in total shock and confusion. Deborah came bursting from her front door, her face twisted into pure, unfiltered fury. She fumbled for her phone and dialed 911 screaming about some kind of sonic weapon attack. "He's trying to destroy the neighborhood with that illegal noise machine right now," she yelled. Two police cars screeched up with lights flashing and sirens cutting through the massive Chimes. But this time I stood ready on my lawn with my thick folder of proof laid out neatly. I played the security video first showing her trespassing and tampering with my personal property. Then I handed over printed emails where she openly admitted targeting me to clean up the area. The officers listened carefully, exchanging looks that said they had heard enough of her nonsense. "Looks like the real disturbance here has been the HOA president all along," the sergeant remarked dryly. Word traveled fast through the subdivision and the other board members arrived to see the scene. I called an impromptu meeting right there on the street, presenting my full case with calm precision. They reviewed the evidence together and their expressions shifted from surprise to outright disgust. By late afternoon, they voted unanimously to strip Deborah of her president position immediately. She stood frozen on the sidewalk, speechless as her carefully built little empire collapsed in public. Her usual superior smirk vanished, replaced by a pale, defeated look I will never forget. She sold her house and moved away quietly within a month, to everyone's visible relief. The neighborhood settled back into its peaceful rhythm with soft clock chimes once again. Now folks wave warmly when they pass my yard, and the air feels lighter without her shadow. It is funny in the darkest way how the loudest voice complaining about noise was the real problem all along.